So we're going to continue with right action. As I said before, right action is the second of the three ethical conduct steps on the Eightfold Path. And it corresponds with at least three, and I believe all five of the first five precepts. So as promised, I'm going to read you the precepts as I think of them, and in the way that I would teach them to my students. Number one, my practice is to hold all life as precious and to celebrate in its diversity and beauty. So the first one corresponds with do not kill. Number two, my practice is generosity through the sharing of my time, energy, material resources with those in need. I will respect the property of others. So that corresponds with the second translation of do not steal. Number three, my practice is of sexual responsibility. I will be mindful of my commitments as well as the commitments of others. I will not engage in sexual matters with anyone unable to commit to me. And that corresponds with number three, which has been translated as do not misuse sex. Number four, my practice is to speak truthfully and to listen deeply to the truth of others. I will be mindful of my speech, choosing to allow my words to fall gently and joyfully on the ears of those listening. And that corresponds to number four, which is do not lie. And it also corresponds to right speech, which is another one of the steps on the Eightfold Path. And number five, my practice is moderation both physically through the consumption of food and drink and mentally through the consumption of media and entertainments. And that corresponds with do not abuse intoxicants. So let's start with number five, because a lot of people find that a little odd. But I do think that we are what we consume. We used to say you are what you eat. I think you are what you consume. I think that if you spend a lot of time participating in violent media, whether that be violent video games, and I know a lot of people just turn me off, but that's okay, or whether it be violent movies or just a lot of media with a lot of profanity and those kinds of things, those are things that affect us on some level. Now, you can honestly, and I do believe that some people who are speaking about this honestly believe that it doesn't affect us. And that is up to you. If you believe that you can sit in a movie where people are shooting each other and, and pretending to take life as if it has no value, and you can do that over and over again while continuing to follow the first precept, which is to honor, enjoy, and revel in life as a beauty, then you're just a different person than I am. I can actually feel myself get angry. Now, I can't tell you if I'm getting angry because I chose a movie that I shouldn't be sitting in, or if it's because I'm watching a movie that is about anger. I can't tell you that. I wish I were more mindful about myself in that way. I'm not. But what I can tell you is that when I stay away from hyper-violent things, I feel better. And that when I stay away from hyper-violent things for long periods of time, I'm kinder and more loving and more thoughtful about life. That I can tell you. So let's go through the rest of them in order. The first precept is not to kill. And I think we touched on this the last time, that it's really difficult not to kill anything. But to be mindful of how you treat everything really is a practice worth taking up. And the reason is that not only if you're not going to kill ants, you're certainly not going to run out and make the choice to buy weapons or do other things that are not Buddhist in nature. But also, all these practices feed on each other. So we're talking about the first 5 precepts, but we're also talking about right action, which is under the Eightfold Path. We're also talking about non-harming, which is one of the bases of Buddhism. And we're also talking about compassion, which we've discussed before too. So all of these things feed on each other. None of them can exist without the others. So it's all very important in that manner. I do hope that you will give some thought to moving your Buddhist practice a little further down the line and consider taking refuge and consider taking the first 5 precepts. It was a very auspicious day. I still remember the day I took my first 5 precepts. I actually studied Buddhism at the International Buddhist Meditation Center, which was built by this lovely Vietnamese gentleman named Thich Thien An. And it's a monument for Vietnamese immigrants here to the United States. And the day that I took refuge, I took it with a man who still lives at the International Buddhist Meditation Center. His name is Doug Solomon. If you're in Los Angeles, get over there and meet him. He's a genuinely beautiful person. But he and I took refuge on a day that busloads of Vietnamese immigrants came to see the place, just as part of their pilgrimage. And it was very auspicious. It was also, I was quite honored. It brought tears to my eyes. Anyway, so those are the first 5 precepts. That also is right action. And the next time we'll talk about right livelihood, which is the 3rd of the ethical conduct of the Eightfold Path. Thank you. This is Kente Wisdom.